All right, and we can get started. So, welcome everybody. It's so good to see you all. Thank you so much for coming. Today, we're going to be talking about meditation. And this is an introduction to meditation, again, what it is and how to do it. And my hope for you is that you become very empowered in meditation and that you start to use it as a skill moving forward, something that you can use as a sitting meditation every single day if you'd like to. But also, as we meditate, we can actually start to use those skills that we're learning while we meditate into our everyday life. So you'll notice that over time, it actually starts to trickle into your everyday life. And that's the best part about meditation, actually, is how it actually impacts your day to day. Okay. So I'm going to start with a definition of what is meditation. Meditation is a practice that involves using a technique such as focusing on the breath, a particular thought or mantra, sound, or activity in order to train one's awareness and mental focus. The value of meditation comes from developing your ability to identify when you have strayed from your focus and coming back time and time again. Now, I want to spend some time breaking this definition down because we'll focus on those underlined words. I think this is so important to understand, as once you do understand it, it will actually transform the way that you view meditation. So the first word is practice. I underline this because it truly is a skill that that needs to be learned. And in order to learn any new skill, you have to practice. But it's also important to consider that meditation isn't as flashy as some other skills. The journey isn't linear. Like if you practice daily for X amount of minutes, and by X day, you'll be enlightened or peaceful or patient, or whatever goal you have set out for yourself. It truly is a journey, and it truly is a practice. You will not be perfect at it. And by that, I mean your mind will most likely wander, or you may forget to follow your breath. You may experience uncomfortable feelings. But as with any skill, it's uncomfortable when you begin. And it can take practice to get comfortable, and sometimes practice to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Just know that it's all okay. Every bit of your meditation practice is just that, a practice. Meditation takes practice. Okay. So the next part I underlined was train. The goal is to train the mind on where to put its awareness and its mental focus. When I introduce the idea of meditation to a lot of my patients, I'm often met with the resistance of, I tried that and it didn't work. My mind is just too busy. The goal of meditation is not actually to turn off your thoughts or your feelings. Those will always be there. It's about training your mind and teaching it on where to place its attention. The more you practice a skill during your meditation practice, the more adept you will be at applying this focus into your everyday life. You become less identified with your thoughts, less judgmental of your thoughts, and more present, mindful, and in the moment with life. The next part I underlined is identify when you have strayed from focus and come back time and time again. So again, the mind is bound to wander. You spent years with a wandering, busy mind, and even the best intention to sit down and meditate will not shut the mind off, so to speak. That's not the goal. The goal of meditation is actually to identify when the mind wanders, and as inevitably it will wander, and redirect it to the present moment. I'm going to be showing you how to do this with your breath to begin, but there are tons of ways to do this. But when you start to shift your perspective of meditation, it becomes so much easier. It takes the pressure off. And of course, you have a busy mind because everybody does, but redirecting it, and you can become the captain of your own mind again and show it where to focus its attention. And soon the thoughts will become like passing clouds. They're always going to be there, but they don't hold as much density as they once did. So a few more points on meditation. One is that there's no right or wrong way to meditate. The mind can be a weird place sometimes. It can take time to get comfortable with your mind. And honestly, it isn't always like unicorns and rainbows. It's not always like this fluffy, lovely experience. There may be setbacks along the way, and that's just part of the journey. Keep practicing. You just keep showing up. And you know that the more that you focus on being mindful and in the moment, no matter what emotion or sensation that or feeling that comes up, you're doing it right. So no matter if you're sitting or laying, you're doing it right. Eyes open, eyes closed, you're doing it right. in the middle of a loud, busy household, or even just sitting in your car when you're not driving, maybe parked outside of your work, you're doing it right. Fall and winter is the best time to start a meditation practice, in my opinion, because winter is a very introspective time. When we consider the seasons, spring and summer are actually a very outward time. When you look at nature, like plants pop out from their hibernation in earth and blossom outward into the spring air and the summer sun. And then as we move towards fall and winter, again, looking at nature, leaves fall and the energy of the plant returns down into the earth, into its state of dormancy. The same is actually true for our energy. And the body does call us to retreat inwards during fall and winter, to become more introspective and more reflective, which is exactly what meditation does for us and exactly what meditation promotes in our lives. The next point is to just start where you are, however feels good to you. Each day is going to look different. Like one day the meditation may be cross-legged on the floor and you're like so zen the entire time. The next day you'd rather lie down and the mind is busy and you can't even feel like you can get 1 second of focus in. The next day you feel like you finally got it. And then the following day it is gone. It's not linear, right? So each day is going to be different and that's okay. You have to invite in a lot of compassion and a lot of grace, honestly, whenever you're starting this journey. I just encourage you that once you receive this information, and of course, as always, if it resonates with you, just start to practice it daily and commit this to yourself. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you have to like it or each meditation is going to feel so good, but you have to hold in your heart that the more you practice and the more consistent you are with it, the more benefit you will get from it. The next point I want to outline is just to stop waiting for motivation and just to start flexing that discipline muscle. If we continue to wait until we are motivated to meditate, and this can be applied to so many different aspects of our lives and of our health as well, it'll never happen. So commit yourself to this practice and make it a non-negotiable. I encourage you to do this for the next 3 weeks and just see what happens. Next is schedule it into your day. Plan it. Like honestly, when we're talking here and at the end of this webinar, plan it when you're going to meditate in your day. I recommend morning before getting into the hustle and bustle of things, but evening is fantastic too. You're going to know what the best time is for you. Okay. So we're going to get into now to the benefits of meditation. There's short-term and there's long-term benefits. So we'll start with the short-term. But when I was looking up, benefits of meditation on PubMed, which is a scientific article search, over 9,000 studies came back on how meditation and mindfulness and how it benefits so many different aspects of health. And this is just what has been quantified. This is what has been studied. There's so much more that we don't even know. But what came back was that it helps with things like chronic pain, anxiety, depression, blood pressure regulation, fertility, immune system. There's so much. But some of the short-term benefits, something that you'll feel rather more likely to feel in the moment when you're meditating or just after meditating is you'll feel a sense of peace, calm, and balance. You'll feel that your energy becomes grounded. So we can often feel such a chaotic energy, especially in our head, buzzing, especially if there's some anxiety going on or you're anticipating a big event or whatever. Meditation itself can be extremely grounding for our energy. It can also be the antidote for stress. It promotes relaxation and it shifts the body into a parasympathetic nervous system, which is the opposite from our sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight nervous system. It can lower blood pressure, anxiety again, heart rate. It can improve sleep, and the benefits carry with us throughout the entire day as well. And it also promotes mental strength and resilience. Again, we're using discipline to do something sometimes that we don't want to do. And that really fosters a lot of mental strength and resilience. When we look at the long-term benefits, there are actual physical changes that occur in the brain. There's one part of the brain that is responsible for anxiety, fear, and general stress. It's called the amygdala. And that part of the brain actually decreases in activity when we're meditating long-term. And the prefrontal cortex of the brain, which is another part of the brain, it's actually responsible for higher level thinking skills and behavior modification. That part of the brain becomes increased in stimuli, becomes more active. So you're exercising your brain and you're actually changing the way that you respond to situations throughout the entire day. It also results in increased happiness, compassion, connection, enhanced memory, concentration, and perception, and overall just more happiness, more peace, and health. It's very, very beneficial. When we talk about when to meditate, I kind of mentioned this, there's morning or evening. Of course, there's all throughout the day as well. I just find that it's really tough to meditate midday. Usually before your day starts or at the end of the day is, in my opinion, the best time. And there's also a whole bunch of different ways to meditate. You can think of meditation more as like mental stillness. It doesn't necessarily even need to mean physical stillness, because technically you could be in a meditative state for 24 hours a day. You could weave that sacred art of meditating into your everyday life. And actually that could sound really appealing, like, ooh, yeah, I'll just do that. I don't have to sit every morning. I'll just go through my day and I'll meditate as I go. I tried that too at one point. And from my experience, it doesn't really work unless you start to practice shifting and focusing your awareness through a consistent meditation practice daily. Because then once you're learning the skill and your brain is quite literally rewiring how it works, then you will find that you have such a greater success weaving this into your day-to-day. So start with the morning. The most successful way I have found to meditate is in the morning, but this is not to say they can't meditate any other part of the day, of course. Just mornings are great because it sets the tone for the day. It really allows you to start your day in a grounded space, and then you're so much more likely to notice when things start to go off kilter in your day. Next, it feels like you're likely more in a calm, quiet, mental place in the morning. It's really hard to stop a to-do list halfway through in order to sit down and meditate somewhere in the afternoon. And lastly, a lot of us spend some time in the morning doing habits that may not be serving us. For instance, scrolling on social media or watching the news, both of which have been shown to drastically increase anxiety levels. So I just feel that if you feel that you don't have time in the morning because you're so busy, but evaluate if you do any of these habits, social media or watch the news, because you can consider swapping this habit with something like a 3 to 5 minute meditation and just notice how this impacts your anxiety or your mood overall, even productivity for the day. In the evening, it's fantastic as well because it can actually prepare you for sleep. It can promote deep sleep. It can really clear the mind from a busy day and help to release any tension that's being held in your body through the day or in your mind. Personally, I do both morning and night, but the intention is different. So morning, I try and set the tone for the day. And evening is more just to like set myself down and release any tension, but both are valuable in very different ways. Okay, so let's go into some tips for meditation. This is more of a how to meditate. And again, I'm just presenting one way. There are many, many ways. I'm just presenting one. So first, let's talk about just getting set up. Choose where to meditate. Choose where in your house to meditate. Find a quiet place and decide how it'll be incorporated into your morning routine as well. I like to get up, get out of bed, have some water, gently move my body a bit. And then I sit for a meditation. I usually sit on the couch. This helps me not to fall asleep because if I do it right away in bed, from personal experience, I fall right back asleep. Everyone's different though. If you have a busy house, then maybe it is something that you choose to do before getting into bed or you stay in your bedroom to do. You could even try leaving for work 5 to 10 minutes early and sitting in your car to do it before actually driving. Just trying to find that space. It'll look different for each of us. Next, I suggest that you actually sit up if you're doing this in the morning. If you're doing it in the evening, then laying down is perfectly fine because the intention is different. The intention is more relaxing. But in the morning, my intention at least is to be part of my morning routine. So I do not want to be relaxing myself to the point where I'm sleepy again. So I just find sitting up is more alert. But again, there's no way to do it wrong or right. I'm just suggesting. So meditation is stillness for the body and the mind, and it can really, really, really help you to find that stillness before the chaotic part of the day comes in. Next, I just want to ensure that you're comfortable. So you can actually move during your meditation. There's some people think that as soon as you start meditating, you have to be very stiff. If you have an itch, you can't itch it. If you're uncomfortable, you can't shift. And that's not true. I mean, as you evolve in your meditative practice, you may challenge yourself in that way. But when you're first getting started, again, inviting a lot of compassion, a lot of grace to the journey, you can move, you can shift, you can move around. It's okay. You're still human. So I like to, again, sit on the couch. Usually I take a pillow and prop up my butt a bit and I cross my legs. And I place my hands face up on my knees. That's just one way to do it. Again, you don't even need to sit cross-legged. You can just sit naturally on a chair. You can lay down. The only thing I suggest is not to be like in a too much of a lounging position, like a sideways lounging position, or, just something a little bit awkward. Lastly, I always recommend when you're starting out to set a timer for each session so that you don't have to worry so much about timing. I recommend starting with maybe 5 minutes, but if 3 is more feasible for you, then you can go for that, even 1 minute, or something a little bit longer, like 8 or 10 minutes. Just choose a time and start with it. And I recommend using a timer just so that you can you're not constantly peeking when you're meditating, peeking at your phone. How long has it been? How much longer, right? So you can just kind of put that aside and you know that your timer will go off when it's time. Next, we move into the actual meditation part. I always recommend to set an intention for your meditation journey. I suggest 1 to 3 words, like nothing long. For instance, like something like feeling grounded, present, peaceful, happy, offer me a new perspective, some loving kindness, to be more patient or courageous, whatever resonates with you. Just choosing one word. And even if you can, choose one word that symbolizes you for the week. So you're sticking with that intention every day for the entire week that you're practicing meditation. After that, I just recommend that you actually release your intention and you turn your focus onto your breathing. I like to start with some long, slow, deep breaths. It's been shown that 5 to 6 deep, long breaths can actually help to shift your body into that parasympathetic state, that rest and digest state. Again, the opposite from the fight or flight nervous system, the stressful nervous system. So I like to start it like that. So you're really starting it and settling into your body and actually nourishing your nervous system right from the start. From there, you just breathe naturally. And then you actually allow your focus just to be on your breath, your natural breath. And then the actual practice of meditation, again, is noticing when your attention drifts and coming back to the breath. Noticing when it drifts and coming back to the breath. That is the practice. You might start to be, focusing on your breathing, in, out, groceries, laundry, traffic, kids. Oh, there I go again. Non-judgmental, with a lot of compassion. Just bring it back. In, out. And it'll drift, as it will. And then you bring it back. That is the practice of meditation. Lastly, to conclude, I start this when the timer goes off. You bring some awareness back into your body. So you can start to wiggle your fingers or your toes. You can stretch yourself out. And then you just remind yourself of the intention that you set at the beginning. And you just carry that forward into your day. Lastly, I like to take a deep breath and express gratitude for whatever I'm feeling, whatever came up for me, whatever the journey, helped me shift, and just even for taking time to prioritize the stillness right now. Over time, you'll be able to focus on your breath longer and longer, and you'll be able to redirect your mind quicker. You'll be able to watch your thoughts like passing clouds. At first, you are your thoughts. Right now, when we haven't been meditating, we identify so much with our thoughts. But over time, you really do become an observer to the thoughts. And as you get more seasoned at meditation, you will be able to do this work during stressful conversations in traffic, at work, walking your dog, like throughout your day. And it becomes a part of you as your brain physically changes. Okay, let's meditate. So wherever you are, we can get comfortable. Again, you can be sitting or you can be laying. I just encourage you to get yourself comfortable. I'm going to take care of the time so you don't have to worry about that, okay? What we're going to do is start with our eyes open. We're going to start with a soft gaze. Maybe look somewhere other than the computer. Maybe turn your body, if you can, a little bit away from the computer. So you just become attuned to what's in the room. The computer can really steal the attention sometimes. And this is where I want you to just start taking some deep breaths. In through the nose, all the way deep into your belly, and out through your nose, releasing all the air out. Keep taking some deep breaths. And after your next deep breath, after your next exhale, I want you to set an intention. We can set a shared intention to be present, to learn to be in the moment. If that resonates, you can set that same intention. And then we're just going to let that intention go. And we're going to start to tune into the body. When you're ready, you can close your eyes and just return to normal breathing. Let's tune into the body by starting at the top of your body. We're in your head and your face, and just doing a quick scan for any tension that you're holding. Anytime you find tension, just release it. Moving down into the neck and into the shoulders, down the arms. Scanning the torso and the back for any tension that you're holding, and just releasing it. Continuing to scan down your hips, into your legs, all the way to your feet, and releasing tension as you go. And now I want you to turn your focus to your breath. Notice as you're breathing in and breathing out naturally. When the thoughts come, and they will, just gently bring yourself back to the breath. You can even put your hand on your belly if you need to as a cue to help yourself to focus on the breath. And when you notice your mind wandering, just gently bring it back to the breath. To further fine-tune your focus, you can even say in your mind, as you're breathing in, you can say the word in your mind. And when you're breathing out, you can say the word out in your mind. In and out. Just notice when you drift and just bring yourself back. Focusing on the breath in and out. Gently bringing yourself back to the breath whenever you notice you wander. Without any judgment. And you can start to bring yourself back to your body whenever you're ready by starting to wiggle your toes and your fingers. Maybe stretching out what feels that needs to be stretched. Maybe you bring those deep breaths that we did at the beginning back in. And whenever you're ready, you can flutter your eyes back open. And I want you to just take a moment to notice how you feel. Notice what has shifted for you. And just express gratitude for the time that you spent today coming to this webinar to learn a new skill and actually spending the time to integrate that skill and to experience it. And let's just come back to that intention. The intention to be present, to be mindful. And let's allow it to carry forward into the rest of our evening. Okay, welcome back. So that was just over 8 minutes. It's not such a long time, right? There's so many meditations or guided meditations on YouTube, whatever. There's so many that are 20, 30, an hour long. If that feels daunting to you, then just start here. If 8 minutes was too long, then start with 5. If 5 is too long, start with 3. Just start wherever you are without judgment. Allow that compassion to come in. It's going to come. It's a skill. It needs to be honed. So just practicing. Again, meditative practice, and then practice some more day after day after day. I want to hear if you're willing to share, if anybody wants to share how that was. How was your experience? You can put in the chat or you can just unmute yourself if you feel comfortable.
A lot faster than I couldn't believe it was 8 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Flew by, right?
Yeah, I found the same thing too, Marissa. It's Denise here.
Hey, Denise.
Hi. It went by really fast. I do like the idea of having doing it in the morning and then maybe once right after work, because you're moving from different cognitive functions. And sometimes you don't really stop to kind of clear before you carry on. So that's really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially, you carry over whatever your energy was at work, whether it was chaotic and stressful or what have you, you carry that into your home life, especially working from home, as many of us do. We really do need to almost just have a ritual to close that door before we open another. So I love the idea of doing it after you get home from work too.
I was going to say, I feel really calm, but also I have a lot of thoughts. I find that I have to really okay, back to my breath. I have so many random thoughts that I'm trying to not focus on, but
yeah,
it was good. And also it was quick for me too. I didn't realize that was 8 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know what, the part that you said about the thoughts, that's normal. That's the practice. And that's why I wanted to really do this webinar, is because so many people think I can't meditate because I have so many thoughts. It's no, that is the point, right? It's the practice of continually bringing yourself back. That is meditation. Meditation does not mean empty mind. It's not.
Right.
And you'll notice too that I didn't put on any music. I tried not to even over guide, because I do want this to be an empowered skill that you can carry forward with or without technology. It's something that you always have with you as your breath. Maybe you have to listen to this. I'm recording it and we'll send it out as a replay. Maybe you have to listen to this or write out some steps at the beginning if you feel like you need a little bit of structure, and that's okay. But my goal for you is to feel so empowered through this that you can do it anywhere without any piece of your phone or whatever. Because we all know that as soon as you open your phone, ding, ding, dong, and you're gone. Any intention you had to just put on your meditation music, but all of a sudden you see that little red circle saying that you have an email or whatever. Oh, I'll just go there and then it never comes. Anything else anybody wanted to share?
I think learning to slow down is a difficult thing for a lot of people. And you know how I am. I'm not a slower downer. And so to intentionally learn to do that would be amazing. And for me, like the lady before me, bringing my mind back to center, focus, breathing, bring it back. It's just almost felt constant. So if that is something that takes practice, then it feels like it would be a great thing, to be able to sit for 3 minutes in the morning before you dash off. And then for me, I think now this time of day later on would be a perfect time to just sort of end the day and finish it off with a nighttime or a bedtime ritual, and go peacefully off to sleep, and have a restorative sleep. The key here is restorative sleep, because people can go to sleep, but the restorative sleep is missing.
Yeah, absolutely.
For whatever reason, in my world where I work, restorative sleep is missing. It's not there anymore. You wake up tired.
Yeah, there's a difference between being unconscious for 8 hours and going through phases of sleep. I think you hit the nail on the head too with saying that we're so busy, right? We're constantly on the go, and I think as a society that's been promoted to a large extent, and it is time to slow down, and it is time to slow our minds down. And what's cool about meditation is that you are literally training your mind how to slow down. Even if yes, you need to be sitting, but you can start to incorporate this even into a busy life. But first we need to hone the skill in a sitting meditation like this, right? You're honing that skill, and that mind is going to be busy at the beginning. And that's what can be uncomfortable. And that's what can be frustrating. It can feel like you're failing, but you're not, because that's the practice. And the busier the mind, and you feel like, it's so busy, I have to keep bringing myself back. Yeah. All the more reason that we need to really prioritize this right now.
Hi, Marissa.
Hey.
I just wanted to say I really like how you kept repeating to give yourself grace and to not judge when you do kind of have those other thoughts, because I know for me, I was paying attention to how I almost was giving myself messages of like doubt or shame for like as if I was doing something wrong. So I like that you keep talking about that, because I think that's a super important piece when learning anything new, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. We can be so hard on ourselves. And when we're learning a new skill and learning a new practice, there has to be so much grace and compassion, non-judgment. We really need to pave the way and treat ourselves with so much more respect than we currently do. So again, another skill that can be transferred into our everyday life. So thanks for sharing that, Dee.
Marissa, can you take yourself off share screen?
Yeah.
Can I just share a comment? I had like this small moment where I started to like fall asleep. I was like, oh, I gotta put myself, pay attention, focus on your breathing.
Yeah. And do you feel like, of course it's at almost 8 p.m.
Yeah.
It's a different time, right? Sometimes what we need is that deep rest that our body's just craving.
That was good. Thank you.
Great. Did you like it, Hannah?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. Thanks for coming. Awesome. So I want to step into if there's any questions anybody has about meditation or anything that I mentioned that you feel like I need to go over again or wasn't clear.
So, Marissa, if we practice, like I said, does it become easier? Does it become not second nature, but as you practice to refocus, do you actually end up needing to refocus less? I don't know if that's coming out properly, where you do your intention, you have your intention, you start to focus on your meditation, focus on your breathing, and you meditate. Will we always wander? Maybe is the question. Does the mind always, is that the natural thing that the mind wants to do, is to not sit still and be quiet?
Yeah. So we've had, years and years of our minds wandering as a habit that holds in the mind. So the more you're able to do this, you are training the brain. You keep flexing that muscle of refocus. It will get longer and longer before you need to refocus. It does get easier. It 100% gets easier. That being said, your mind will never be quiet. The goal actually isn't to quiet the mind at all. It's to focus the mind. The thoughts will always be there, but you know how I said the thoughts become more like passing clouds? Right now we can feel like we are a cloud, like we are the thought that's coming up. But the more and more that you can practice meditation, what happens is that you actually separate yourself from thought. You can actually watch it without the attachment to it. You can watch it as, sometimes we have a negative thought that comes up and you think, oh my gosh, I'm a horrible person for thinking that. But over time, as you meditate, you start to see the thought as, whoa, where did that come from? That's interesting. You see the difference?
Yeah.
Not all of our thoughts are ours. It's not that it doesn't, we aren't our thoughts. So to be able to meditate and separate yourself from the thought in that way, that's where there becomes this separation. And that's where it becomes really, really cool. There are always going to be thoughts, but that wandering, it does slow down.
Okay. That's good to know.
Keep practicing.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions?
Hi, Marissa. I just want to thank you for
Hey, Luke.
organizing this.
Thanks so much for
And,
coming.
It was a nice moment, and I really needed that time. So thank you for being the catalyst for that. And it's nice to do it in a group setting and feel the connection.
Yeah.
And yeah, no questions. Just wanted to thank you. And well, maybe when's the next meditation? Maybe.
Yeah, so that's actually what I wanted to bring up too, is that this is actually prompted by Thomas and Gwen. They always say that they love our appointments together because I help to keep them accountable. And I wanted to offer that in 3 weeks, they say it takes 21 days to make a habit. I wanted to offer that in 3 weeks, I would like to meet again. And I want us also really commit to this practice. I want each of us to choose a time, to choose a place, and to commit ourselves to 3, 5, 8, 10 minutes, whatever for you, each day for the next 3 weeks. And then let's meet up again in 3 weeks on December 7th. And let's share what worked and what didn't, where we felt like we really, had some good moments and where we felt like we made some mistakes and need some extra guidance. And that way we can really hold each other accountable and hold ourselves accountable too.
Marissa, can we use a guided meditation? I'm not quite sure I'm ready to do this on my own for 3 weeks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have some resources.
Oh, perfect.
So let me just come back in here. What I'll do too is there's a few other areas that I wanted to share because I often get some common areas of resistance, and some of these were mentioned, but I just want to bring them up because I'm sure that you will encounter some of these areas of resistance as we go over these next 3 weeks. And the first one is just when I sit, my mind wanders, and we already went over that. That's pretty much the point. The practice is to keep coming back to that area of focus. The next one is, but I really have no time to meditate. I hear this all the time. And for me, it's all the more reason to meditate. Again, you can try swapping an activity, like if you scroll social media or you watch the news, take some time out of those activities for meditation. Or if you're really resistant to it, then what you can also do is bring mindfulness to the breath practice that you're in already existing activities. For instance, like if you walk the dog, you focus on each step in silence. Maybe you don't listen to music or with lyrics, or you don't listen to podcasts. You don't call a friend on a walk. You just walk and you stay present in the moment. And you do it in silence, and you become very aware of how your feet are hitting the ground, and you become very aware of your breath. Even if you have a child and you're watching them play or you're playing with them, you bring this practice in and you start to focus on the breath, or you start to focus on exactly what you're doing, whatever you're doing. So if you really feel like you have no time to do a sitting meditation, then those are some techniques that you could try as well. The next one is, even though I know it's good for me, I still feel a resistance in sitting for a meditation. And for me, this really, really depends on why that resistance is coming up. But it's for me, I had to make it a kind of a non-negotiable and make myself a deal. In the mornings, I don't check any technology until I meditate. So if I'm feeling like, oh, what's the weather? I want to check, or, anything on my phone or on my computer, there's no technology until I do this meditation. And that has really helped me to get over that hump. But if you feel like there's some hard things coming up, some emotions, some grief, anything like that, I want you to know that, of course, I'm here for each and every one of you. There's also, of course, psychotherapists or counselors or whoever you feel you resonate with. But again, this one kind of depends on why that resistance is coming. Next, I've tried it and it does nothing. My advice here is just keep trying for some, it's an instant benefit. For others, it takes longer. It's like exercise. You won't lose years of weight gain from one exercise class. You won't lose years of stress and agitation in the mind from one meditation. So you have to keep at it. And the other thing is that there's so many different styles of meditation. So try different styles. If this one doesn't work for you, then it's okay. It doesn't mean that this isn't the be all and all. Like, you can try different meditations. I'm going to show a slide with some different apps. You can try different ones and find the one that works for you. Lastly, when I sit to meditate, I get restless. This is a big one. And what's interesting is in yoga, like the practice of yoga, if anybody's ever done it, you do a full, let's say 45 minutes of movement, going through different series of movements, stretches, and exercises. And at the end, there's almost always a savasana, a time where you just lay on the ground, palms up, and you just breathe. And that's actually the point of yoga, is to get to this part. The point of yoga is to release all the physical tension that's holding you back so that you can get into the savasana, that end where you are able to really be in your mind and really be present in the moment. You've gotten rid of all that tension to get there. So same thing, if you feel like you get physically restless, try doing some gentle yoga, or going for a gentle walk or some movement before actually sitting for your meditation, and see how that shifts things for you. Okay, so here are the resources that I've put together. There's some really good apps out there. Insight Timer is a great one because it's mostly free. It's all free. There's a lot of free content. There are some paid upgrades if you want, but it's all free. The only thing about Insight Timer is that it's kind of like anybody can upload to it. So there is some junk on there, but you have to just look at the ratings and see what's good. Headspace is another one. Calm is another one. Both of these are actually paid apps, but they have some really great introductory meditations, guided meditations to get you started. Usually about 10, 14 days worth of free content, and they're really good. Waking Up and Smiling Mind, another couple options. And I like to say that you are who you spend your most time with. There's that saying, you are who you spend your most time with. So you look at your three, people you spend the most time with, and your reflection of those people. And it's the same thing with how you spend your mind, the time in your mind. So if you're able to, and if you're really interested in this journey, then start listening to podcasts, or, go on YouTube or read books about spirituality and meditation. Really dive into it so that you can really be immersed in this, and you can learn so much, and you can be spending your mental time with these types of people. And that becomes so motivating. Okay, so I'm going to be sending this out as a recording, so you can go back and listen to anything. If you have any questions at all, you know how to contact me. Here's my information if you don't, but I'm always available to each and every one of you, including those of you watching the recording. And then I already introduced the next class at December 7th at 7 p.m. It will be more of a open, let's talk, let's go through what you went through, let's see what worked, what didn't, if there's any mistakes that you feel like you've made, or if any of that judgment's coming up. Let's learn from each other. Let's all share this. And I'm right now, I'm feeling that I don't want to record that one. I really want it to be an open and honest space where people can feel safe to share with whoever is able to show up. So I will send that link out to all of you who signed up for today, including those of you who are watching the replay. And then if you do send this out you can send this recording to any of your friends, family, colleagues, anybody who you feel can benefit from it. And if anybody watching the replay who isn't on the original email list, who got the link for tonight, you can email me, and I will send you the sign up link for the December 7th class, so you can come and share and learn from each other. Okay. So if there's any other questions, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, I am so grateful to each and every one of you for showing up. And I'm honestly just, I'm so honored to be part of this journey with you. So thank you so much for your support, and for showing up. I'm so grateful. So yeah, I'm always available for you if you have any questions or anything by email. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Marissa.
Thanks,
Marissa.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.
Ask. Yes.
Yes, Hannah.
Hannah has a question, but she wanted to wait for more people to log off. Go
Good
ahead.
idea. Hold on, let me stop recording.
Oh, stop, you can ask.